you got to step your game all the way up if you're trying to do something big. So
I love it. Do you consider yourself a boss?
I think I do. I consider myself a creator.
Okay.
And in that, I consider myself a boss. I think because I've always pretty much created my own work. For as long as I can remember, I've kind of done that. I had a few months ago, somebody was asking me, like, as an actress, they were like, are you always working? Are you just always working? And I was like, I didn't know how to answer. I was like, I'm always working on something. I was like, I'm always creating something. And I think they meant in the terms of like, are you just, audition after audition after audition? And it's been one of those things that I want to say truly, maybe when I was like 12 years old, I started to seriously pursue music and write songs. And even then, I just more focused on, as an actress, on women like Drew Barrymore and Reese Witherspoon, women that I knew owned their own production companies. And a lot of the films that they were in went through those production companies. And so, or somebody like Debbie Allen, where she was a director and she was just overall directing her career. So I, from a young age, knew that was the key to sustaining yourself, to actually making it, I think, in the entertainment industry, that I just never believed it was that I was just going to wait for my agents to send me on auditions. I never believed that. That just never came across to me as the truth. So yeah, for that reason, I guess, yeah, in many ways, I am my own boss.
I love it. And do you consider yourself, Jay-Z, I think it was the one who said he's a businessman and a businessman. So do you see yourself as a businesswoman or as a business woman?
It's a good question, because I do consider myself a businesswoman, but I also do see the overall brand of myself.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people that are, indifferent about considering yourselves a brand and all of that kind of stuff. But I do think that essentially we are brands, especially, today where everybody's so multifaceted. It's like, how can I not be a brand when I do so much? And it's like, it's kind of limitless in terms of everything that you can do. Like, you can release a book, you can release an album, you can make a series, there's so much that you can do. And so at the end of the day, it all goes under one umbrella, and it's usually your name. And it's there's a common theme in which you are directing to people about yourself. And that's what I see as an overall brand. So I do look at myself as, I think, a business. And I'm conscious of that in everything that I do. I always kind of want there to be a running theme and feel in everything I do. And I feel like, because, you have so many people like that my followers and my supporters on my social media, I think they truly get a sense of that like they expect a certain quality of work. They expect the work to feel a certain way, because I've worked so hard on that. And that, I think, is being a businessman.
I love that.
So,
and I think some of this stuff is so cool, because some of it's intentional, and some of it is sort of obvious to us in retrospect, where we might have set out to say, okay, I really want to be about this. I want to stand for this. I want to communicate this. I want to make sure that the aesthetic or the vibe of what I put out is always consistent with, X.
yeah.
And then there's other things that when you look back at it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I couldn't have planned that better myself.
Yeah.
The way that this has unfolded. What are some of those types of things that have evolved with your brand as you've evolved as your own boss?
You know what? I think it's just starting to accept who I was. Not trying to fit into boxes that people were trying to put me in, and just truly, acknowledge who Andrea Lewis is as a person. What does she enjoy? What does she like to do? How does, what things does she want people to see when they see her?
Right.
And it took me a little while to get there. I really want to say probably when the light bulb went off for me in a weird way. And I had a meeting in LA, and I was with my mom, and I was talking with this man. We were having lunch, and the whole time I was just kind of, I guess, being in business mode. I wasn't really. I was just very normal. And then at the end of the meeting now, he's just telling us a random story, nothing to do with what we were talking about before. And he said something that just, I reacted like, what? Oh my gosh, what the heck? Like, it was just a very big reaction. And he was like, oh, there you are. There's your personality. And it was just one of those moments that I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, this person sat here with me for almost an hour and a half and did not gauge who I was in any way. And so it started to play into also me being an actress. And I always felt as an actress that I had never played a character that truly reflected who I was.
Gotcha.
And, you know, as an actress, it's like you're not necessarily supposed to, but there was a part of me that knew I wanted to just do more than just be an actress. And I wanted people to like me and be on my side. And I knew that my personality was much more likable than some of the characters that I was playing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a tough thing, especially like when I was on Degrassi, I played a character named Hazel. And as grateful as I was for the opportunity of being on Degrassi, she was very much just, you know, the best friend and just kind of the sidekick. She never really had any main stories. Sometimes she didn't even have any lines, but was in the scenes. It was, you know, just kind of a very suppressed character. Mm-hmm. And I found over the years, I had so many people who really thought I was Hazel, who really thought that that's what I was going to be like. And as an artist, that I think is probably just something that's like your plight, that's like almost so annoying. You're like, I'm not that person. I'm not even remotely that person. And no actor is the character that they're playing. So it came to this acceptance of me of saying like, this is who I am. And I want people to see that. And so with that is when I started to just truly be like, okay, this is how I'm going to, you know, portray myself. This is how I want people to see me. And this is the kind of things I was going to do. I started a site with my girlfriend called Those Girls Are Wild. Mm-hmm. And we just were ourselves, essentially. We just, you know, people thought it was a funny site. And the joke of it was to us that it was like, it was never intentionally to be funny. It was just literally us being ourselves and making ourselves laugh. Any of the skits, any of the, you know, the written posts, it literally was like, hey, did you think this was funny? And if the two of us thought it was funny, then that was okay. But what I saw in it is that people gravitate towards what seems natural. And so with that, it was like, because we really were friends, we really were just being ourselves. That's why people liked it. Yeah. And that's what I just started to learn in terms of a brand and a business, and really being authentic is that you truly just have to be yourself in this industry for it to start to come together for you. And it really started to come together for me. And even, you know, everything that I want to do or don't want to do, what I'll wear and not wear, and, you know, what I'll put my name on, it's like, I'm so clear and understanding of who I am that there's no, you know, the message is just one way. And I think that just is the beginning of it. You have to have an understanding of who you are.
1000%. I couldn't agree more, because there's so much of a perception, you know, even in meetings or with particular clients that go into, or among friends who don't do anything like what I do, who go to jobs and who are looking to grow in the ranks of things. And they're always like, no, you can't do that. You got to play this role. Yeah. And so there's this performance in our everyday lives that I think is so missing the mark on what we're here to be and what we're here to like live. Yeah. And that's really why I'm like, be your own boss. Like, whatever the hell that means to you, whether you're in a company and you're driving your own career. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're surrendering because driving doesn't always work. But you got to be clear on who you are and what you want before you go anywhere. And I think that's the missing mark. If there's anything misguided about the millennials, it's just a sense of there's more to this life. But I've never been raised or taught necessarily or schooled to explore who I am. So how did you go on that journey? How did you start to get conscious and get clear?
I think it was just, like I said, the simple moment. And truly, I started to analyze people that I thought were successful. Entertainers, comedians, that I really thought, like, that seems like who they are. Like, I don't feel like when I'm going to meet them, it's going to be something completely different.
So success to you meant what?
Success to me meant being very comfortable in your own skin.
Love it. Okay.
And with that, I think it's like, you know, everything is clear in the sense of somebody said something to me this year, and it was like, really hit me on the head, that as an artist, you get to a point where no one can really give you any advice or, suggestions, because the vision is just yours. And so once you are very comfortable with the vision, it's like everybody else's opinions, just opinions. And it doesn't really matter. And not in like an egotistical way, like, hey, it's my way or the highway. But truly, as an artist, the point of being an artist is to see your vision all the way through.
Totally.
And do it, in the way that you saw it in your head. It's like, I saw George Lucas say that he's like, it's not that I'm a control freak. It's just that I'm an artist and I have a vision of how this thing looks. So if I'm nitpicking on something, it's because it doesn't look like what's in my mind. Right. And the reason why it works at all is because it is authentically his vision. I think once you get a grasp of those type of things, it's like, fear, being shy, all of these things are like just behind you.
Yeah.
It's like people ask me all the time, how do you get over being shy? And I'm like, I think once you really you love yourself. Because for what reason would you be shy? I don't even understand it. It's like, why would you ever meet somebody and decide not to be yourself when you first met them? It doesn't benefit you. They don't know you, so it doesn't benefit them, Yeah. And those things to me were just, once I started to really be conscious and I think enlightened to the fact that I was not always being myself in these past years. I was trying to fit into whatever somebody kind of wanted me to be, or, if I was working on an album and somebody said they would fund it, but they would only fund it if it was music like this, I was kind of like, oh, okay, I can sing that too.
Right.
Like, when I first went to LA, I had just done an album with Universal Music in Canada, and I was 18, and we kind of made a range of songs on it. Truly, and with the anticipation that somebody would hear at least one and say, yeah, I like this one, so I'll work with you on this one. And when I really thought about it after, it was maybe like a year or two later that it was with my mother, and we both were kind of like, that was just the wrong approach. You're better off saying, this is the sound. You like it or you don't. And going with it, because people will appreciate you more for being very confident in who you are instead of being very wish-washy. And, but it's ever evolving. Like, you are just constantly being more and more like, this is who I am. This is what I look like. And just overall accepting yourself, everything about yourself, the good and the bad. And I think it helps you. I know that I'm an emotional person, but sometimes people say things to me that just upset me. And I have to like take a moment, walk away, like,
Totally.
Not respond to the email immediately because I know how I am. I know that I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my stuff. And so, but I've accepted that about myself.
Totally.
And, I have accepted as well that it's like, I don't really care about, and it's like, not that I don't care. I love it, but being pretty is not the forefront of me. It's
Totally.
like, if you think I'm cute, great.
Awesome.
But what I want you to see is this.
Totally.
So, but that's an acceptance. I think there comes a time when, as an artist, as a brand, sometimes you're more concerned about like, does my hair look right? Do I look glamorous? Are people going to look at this picture for, but I think about, Oprah said, like, a picture where you're talking is more interesting than a picture where you're just smiling. And it's true. Like, showing personality is just more interesting than anything. And I think that's what helped me, as I just started to really enjoy my own personality and enjoy saying, that I was a big personality and that I was a fun person, and that when I met people, like I talked to them right away. I even put myself to the test more in terms of, going somewhere and just talking to somebody and not doing that whole break the ice,
Awkward.
just being who you are. And I started to just test myself more and more with that stuff, and be conscious of when I was doing it, be conscious of when I was just going in my shell and trying my best to come out of it. So, but I think it takes an enlightened thought process. You have to almost not be outward, see yourself outwardly to say, I've got to now change. When you see, honestly, the most successful people in the industry in terms of work ethic, looks, quality of the content they put out, everything, they actually don't do all of the things that people think they're doing. They actually are not drinking. They don't go to the party. And if they do, they're there for like an hour tops. They leave at a reasonable time. It's once in a while. And it's like people underestimate that stuff. It's like, J-Lo, Tina Turner, these women, people they go to bed like right away after they do those concerts. Like they're not just at a club after. Like
Yeah.
these women are, they guzzle water. Like they're very serious about the longevity of their own careers and these type of things. And it's like, that's what it really takes in the entertainment industry is a very strict mindset and lifestyle to understand how do I actually run this marathon?
I
It's
love that.
it's you know, and
Yeah.
I really find a lot of people don't know that. I had a friend in LA and he's from here, from Toronto. And he said he completely lost himself. And I was so hurt to hear his story because he was like, yeah, when I first got here, I just was going on all these parties and then I just became addicted to parties and now I just work a regular job. And it was like,
Oof.
yeah. And he came there to be an actor. And he hadn't been home. He had not been back to Toronto in like 3 years.
Mm.
Completely, it's like forgot what you were doing, what you
And
were
I
there.
think that brings us right back to the previous point we were talking about having the people in your corner and the closest people around you advocating, because sometimes you will get lost, you will get sidetracked
Yeah.
because you don't always know how, and
Yeah.
you might get distracted, but who's going to check you and say,
Hey.
that is not in alignment with that?
Yeah.
But if you're partying with everybody, then you're in pure alignment because they get exactly what they want.
Exactly.
They have your company and you guys party together.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's going to take to be your own boss.
Exactly.
And when you wake up one day and you say, how did I end up here? Not where I wanted to be. Where did I turn left when I needed to turn right? Here I am in a job and a city that I didn't come here to do any of this in.
Yeah.
That right there is having life be the boss of you.
Exactly.
Not being the boss of life. I want to wrap by asking, what's next for you? What's the next? What can we all envision with you about what's next for you?
So what's truly next, like the real next steps, season 2 of my web series Black Actress, and then an album with it, shortly right after or before, but sometime near it, and just a true continuation of exactly what I do, which is create. That's at the end of the day, if there's one thing I can say that I do, I'm a creator and I'm an entertainer, and you are going to get a mix of that in some way, somehow. And yeah, that's just what I'm really spending my 2014 doing, is doing even more of me and not being afraid of it. So yeah.
I love that. I'm sure we're all aligned, and I'm so, so, so grateful that you shared so much time with us.
Oh, no problem.
And that you were so candid, and then you laid it out how it was. So that's what it's all about, and I really appreciate it, because that's the conversation. That's a conversation worth having, and it's one that I don't think we're having enough. So thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a great time.